if I'm remembering correctly, this was always the player who had that Kyogre hat, iconic photos from previous World Championships. So awesome to see such a historic player show up here at the World Championships in the Masters division. Looks like we are going to have what's become pretty much a standard matchup in the standard format. We're going to have the Origin form Palkia V-Star going up against the Arceus V-Star with that Flying Pikachu VMAX. Always love to see the balloons.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially yesterday when it flew away on us as well. This is going to be a really interesting watch. This is kind of what we predicted to see a little bit, both of these, but I mean, every time we get to see the Flying Pikachu VMAX.
Ooh, see a memory capsule off a mulligan there.
Oh, we know what that means, Kyle. Memory capsule, we're going to see potentially that that Jolteon, that one prize Jolteon that would block the Inteleon Drizzile engine, that Shady Dealings ability.
Yep, we'll see that. That was a popular tech card kind of near the end of the Brilliant Stars format. We were seeing some Jolteon memory capsule with the Gyarados VMAX getting played, and it has seen a resurgence lately. How much have we seen Inteleon over the course of today and yesterday, right? So many Shady Dealings abilities, and if you can just cut off that portion of your opponent's deck, they basically built around Shady Dealings. If those abilities don't work, all of a sudden their consistency just plummets. And we've seen it many times where the player gets a Jolteon and a memory capsule, and it's just like, oh, my hand's full of Level Ball and Drizzile and Inteleon. Oh, I can't do anything. Okay, well, this would have been an awesome turn, but now I'm going to pass, I guess.
Yeah, that is absolutely devastating to see. I mean, when your entire deck is just shut down, what do you do at that point, Kyle? What's interesting is I don't even think...
You lose usually.
Yeah, exactly, which is very sad. But I don't think I saw a ton of Jolteon yesterday, but I see so many of them today. So that's an interesting thing to note, is that a lot of our day 1 versus day 2, our top players in day 2 are opting to play this Jolteon and say, you know what, I'm just going to try to take this hard counter against your entire deck and hope that it pays off for me. So that was a mulligan that we saw with the memory capsule, though, so that knowledge is now there at least for both players.
Not a card you want to see.
No, absolutely not. That's not a card you want to give up either. I mean, although the Jolteon usually comes down pretty quick if you're trying to lock abilities there, so that it's probably going to be knowledge that's given up pretty quickly anyway. All right, so we are starting off here with that Ultra Ball, discarding a Path to the Peak and an Evolution Incense, and searching out for any Pokemon in the deck here now.
Yeah, this is really interesting to me. Again, a lot of players came into this knowing how popular Origin form Palkia was going to be. And I've heard sentiment from a lot of players that, you can play the Flying Pikachu VMAX in your deck, but it actually isn't enough to really win the matchup. It's still close. Even though you're playing this dedicated lightning type attacker that you're only really playing to beat one deck, and that's Palkia, they can still just kind of outpace you, knock out the Pikachu before it evolves into the VMAX, and it's just really not enough to give you an overwhelmingly good matchup. So I think Takuto is doubling down and saying, all right, I'm going to play the Pikachu and the Jolteon, and I'm going to really make sure I beat Palkia.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're trying to give yourself the best chance to win, I think that is definitely a winning strategy there. So with that, Ultra Ball is resolved there. The Arceus V is placed down onto the bench.
Yeah, looks like a fantastic start. Ooh,
yeah, definitely.
We're going to see the aggressive Flying Pikachu out of this game.
Oh.
Double turbo straight to it, saying, you know what? Flying Pikachu VMAX is flying your way next turn.
All right, and then over here we do have the Battle VIP Pass. Definitely a strong start that you always want to see for an Origin form Palkia player. So searching out 2 basic Pokemon for the bench. Also looking through prize cards, which is very important. I don't know if you saw anything too devastating in those prize cards, Kyle.
I don't think it was too bad.
We do see the Radiant Greninja there.
We'll find out soon.
We've saw him prized several times today in our other matchups, but it is in deck here.
Yeah, that's one card you tend to search for a lot. Also, starting with the Battle VIP Pass is exactly what you want to see. But yeah, Radiant Greninja, because it's a Radiant Pokemon, you can only have one in your deck. So that's one of the first cards you search for. It's got that excellent Concealed Cards ability. It really is one of, I mean, there's so many pieces of this deck that just make it such a devastating and powerful just machine. But one very important piece is the Radiant Greninja. It has so much synergy with Origin Form Palkia V-Star. You get the concealed cards, discard an energy to draw extra cards, but that also fuels the Star Portal V-Star power to accelerate your energy. So it's all working together to just make a consistent, hard-hitting deck.
Yeah, the draw support as well. You know, for the longest time, Kyle, I actually thought that it was discard a water energy because it fits so well into that deck, but it is any energy.
Yeah,
so it can go.
Energy.
Yeah, exactly. It can go into other decks, but we see it so often in these lists because of that perfect synergy into Origin Form Palkia. It's almost like the Radiant Greninja was literally meant for this deck.
Yep. All right. We are going to see the Rule the Region. Not the best place.
We've seen it a couple times
as the Palkia
today.
player, especially staring down the flying Pikachu right there. But yeah, just going to search up that path to the peak and hope that Takuto does not have a flying Pikachu VMAX plus a lightning energy. Also, just an Arceus V-Star can get there with the Starbirth ability. So yeah, this is not a great spot to be in.
Yeah, at this point, I think Takuto is thinking, oh, well, I am glad I attached that energy there to my Flying Pikachu V, because this is going to be a good aggressive play. I mean, I guess when you're eyeing down an electric Pokemon against water, ooh, and the VMAX as well, so already has the evolution. We're going to see a research for a fresh 7 cards.
Fully teched out deck. You see the Hisuian Decidueye V-Stars.
I didn't see that until just now, but now we know it's here. But we did see the research into those cards.
Yep, just gonna go ahead and use Starbirth. I think there's a path to the peak.
I was about to say that, Kyle.
Just get the V-Star power out of the way, then you can block your opponent from using theirs.
Yeah, definitely, which can be a very powerful play here because, you know, giving your opponent less options, especially with that very strong V-Star ability that Origin Form Palkia V-Star has, accelerating those energy or taking away potential attackers, a potential recovery for future turns as well. So popping off your V-Star and then throwing down that path to the peak to block your opponents is just, you know, it might be that disruption that you need to just push your deck over the edge.
Boo, I have a very important question for you.
Yes.
How many balloons do you think it takes to keep Flying Pikachu VMAX floating?
Oh, wow. That looks like a lot on the card, I'm not going to lie.
All right, we'll figure it out later. All right,
yes,
well,
I'll count them up for you, Kyle.
Thank you. The biggest max balloon will get the knockout on that Origin Form Palkia V, and yeah, it's got a lot of HP, hits for weakness, and that's exactly why you play it. It's good against Palkia.
Yep, so we are going to see those 2 prize cards for Takuto there. Now we are back on the other side, but we did see that instant bump of the path to the peak with the training court as well. So that stadium is bumped now, which means the V-Star ability is now in play, which is actually going to be really important for this turn, Kyle, because as you can see, now there's 1 energy on the board state. So if we're going to see some sort of attack here, that is going to, we're going to need to see some energy acceleration as well.
Yeah, it was really important to get back Radiant Greninja's ability as well, since it does have a rule box.
Yes, true.
So we saw right away training court using concealed cards, draw some cards, and kind of fuel the hand, go from there. You know, this is a good start for Huang. This is like everything you could ask for, right? You're getting the V-Star turn 2, you got energy in your discard pile for the Star Portal. The only thing is you went second, and your opponent got a turn 2 Flying Pikachu VMAX and took a 2 prize knockout. So even though this is about as well as you could start, you're still on the back foot and needing to find a way to kind of crawl back into this game.
Well, not only that, are you looking at electric weakness that you're having to deal with, but seeing that Eevee on the bench as well, you're just like, oh, I don't need even more resistance that I have to deal with now. So that is going to be a very difficult double sort of situation you're put in where, okay, so now I'm getting one shot and then I'm also potentially having all of my shady dealings turned off as well, which is just going to completely lock down your deck and disrupt you potentially beyond what you can handle, and you might not be able to take the win after that. I mean, I would assume that Origin Form Palkia decks and players have prepared for this matchup, though, Kyle. You know, it might be a possibility you see it in the field. This was one, I mean, not this exact list, but Flying Pikachu was our NAIC winner. So how do you even really play against this, Kyle? What is the strategy that you kind of go with? Is it just better to go with this aggression?
Well, you see Huang here using the Star Portal and understanding, started the turn just by promoting Radiant Greninja, knowing that, okay, I need to Moonlight Shirk in this turn. Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Going to knock out the Eevee and soften up the Flying Pikachu VMAX. This is how you have to go about it. Try not to give up too many 2-prize knockouts. Use this single prize Radiant Greninja to do some chip damage so that when you do attack with Origin Form Palkia V-Star, it's a knockout on the Flying Pikachu VMAX. Unfortunately, it did use Max Balloon, so the Moonlight Shuriken does not do any damage to it, and that plan was foiled.
That is very true. I think it was trying to go through there, but yes, prevent all damage from basic Pokemon is another factor that just puts Flying Pikachu in such a good position for that reason. But still knocking out that Eevee is at least going to, the memory capsule being put onto the Flying Pikachu.
Now it can use Fly.
Yes, yeah. If we see some Fly plays, that would be quite the scene.
Yeah,
Kyle.
I think we're going to see a Max Balloon, and I think we'll probably see this game be over very shortly as well. This is a massive advantage for Takuto in this game.
I mean, which is why you play Flying Pikachu, I suppose. If I'm going to be in a sea of Palkia, I'm going to want my best chance to win against that. And doubling up with the Pikachu and the Eevee is just too much pressure, unfortunately, which is why we were seeing the scoop up here, as Kyle said, just too much going on, too far behind. What do you think we need to look for going into this next matchup, Kyle? I mean, obviously, as the Origin Form Palkia player, you want to be going first. I believe we saw Huang go second in that matchup. So maybe going first might give slight advantage there, a little bit of a better position. We did see the Battle VIP on the second turn, but not being able to early evolve is kind of rough, especially when you are going against that weakness and you are potentially getting knocked out first. So we could see a little bit of variation here. I think Huang is probably just hoping to see a very strong first turn setup, get absolutely everything you need. You know, double Palkia, Greninja out, engine going, energy attached. But what do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, going first is a really, really big deal in this matchup. Just being able to evolve your Pokemon first. As the Palkia player, you know, if your opponent is able to just set up the Flying Pikachu VMAX before you've put on any pressure, it's really hard to come back. So it's really important to go first, and not just go first, but get down at least the Palkia V so that you can evolve to the V-Star on turn 2 and start pressuring your opponent. You know, if you can get a turn 2 V-Star and knock out the thing your opponent attached energy to, that's the momentum you can gain and propel you to victory and just kind of overwhelm your opponent before they're able to set up. So we'll see what Huang is able to do in game number 2.
Yep, we're looking at the prize cards here. I didn't see anything too wild in there.
Jolteon is prize.
I was about to say, I'm assuming it's probably a 1-1 line with the Eevee Jolteon. Like, there's so little space that you have in your deck. I would assume it's a 1-1. And we do see the Eevee actually starting inactive as well. But, you know, Huang doesn't know that the Jolteon's prized. So at this point, we could see Huang maybe,
trying to knock that thing
out. Maybe I just attack this, of course, because I don't want my entire engine to be shut down, my entire deck. So that still is potential. So maybe in this circumstance, it being priced.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still bad. It's still bad.
That's an extra layer to just having the Jolteon in your deck, because we do see Huang did open with the Battle VIP pass. Excellent start once again. Just having the Eevee is kind of an extra threat. You know, normally there's obvious targets for your opponent. It's like, oh, I'm going to go after the thing with energy. Now there's an extra thing your opponent has to think about. It's like, I could go after the thing with energy, or I could knock out the Eevee before it turns into a Jolteon, which Jolteon's going to ruin my day. So it just presents more problems for your opponent and makes them have to make harder decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. So even with the Jolteon being prized, Takuto is still at least having a little bit of time on their side to buy. So yeah, wow, this is a great setup here for Huang. We do see the energy. We have 3 Sobbles already in play, 1 in the active, that Radiant Greninja as well. The Battle VIP popped off, which is great. So this is awesome to see. Huang needs to definitely take as much of an advantage as possible on this first turn. And now we are over to Takuto. So we'll see what other Pokemon come into play here, that Eevee being in the active position, as hopefully buying a little bit of time here, being that potential threat that Huang might be taking out. But we are going to see an Ultra Ball discarding the boss's order. And is that a double?
It's the powerful.
I was about to say, is that a powerful?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So adding...
It's all teched out.
Yeah, I was about to say, that is an additional 20 damage for your colorless Pokemon there. So that is another tech card we see in there. I wonder if we're going to see that throughout the day in a couple of other lists as well.
Yeah, it allows you to do some interesting math. It kind of cancels out the downside of double turbo energy. So
True.
you can hit for 200. There's other situations where it can come up with Choice Belt to get knockouts on things that normally you couldn't reach. So I'm guessing just another kind of one-of tech card. What I'm interested to see here is how strong Takuto's hand is.
Yes.
Eevee does have the V-Search attack, which can search up a bunch of Pokemon V and put them into your hand. It's not an ideal thing you want to be doing, but it is an option if your hand is maybe not strong enough at the start, if you need to search for more Pokemon V and get them into your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you can't get other Pokemon out, that is definitely something you would want to do here. But we do see the energy attachment onto that benched Arceus V into a Professor's Research for a fresh 7 cards there.
No V-Search today.
Yeah, no V-Search today. Energy has been placed on our Arceus V. I did not get to see that new hand there, but I believe that was an Evolution Incense and a Crobat discarded to the Research.
Yeah, so interesting choice. You know, there's always the temptation when you have Crobat V in your hand to just play it down and draw more cards with that Dark Asset ability. But I think Takuto realizing, playing against a Palkia deck, I don't need to do this. I have Professor's Research. I don't need to put easy targets on my bench. I don't need to give more damage to Subspace Swell by filling up my bench. So let's just make it as difficult as possible for my opponent to knock out this Arceus V and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Limiting your liabilities, essentially, is that strategy there. We are over on Huang's side now. So this is our turn 2, so we can see the evolutions. Right now we're seeing the ear to search out the Capacious Bucket, which is toggled right away into 2 water energy, and then, of course, that evolution into the origin form Palkia V-Star.
Yep.
Searched out from the deck. And then we are going to see the concealed cards, discarding a water energy to draw 2 more cards into hand.
And I think the good news for Takuto is that unless there's a Galarian Zigzagoon and a lot of stuff going on here, that Arceus V should be safe from being knocked out. Though there is an escape rope.
Okay.
So there will at least be an attack into Arceus V. I don't think it's really possible, looking at the hand, to get a knockout, but Choice Belt, Galarian Zigzagoon, I think could be enough. But still, this is a strong opening. Just get some damage onto it. You got the first attack off. And I noticed we didn't see any Drizzile get played that turn, but hey, still a strong Subspace Swell on the second turn.
Well, and that's really interesting to see too, because, you know, as we said, Huang doesn't know that the Jolteon is in the prize cards. So the factor there is, you know, potentially leaving that evolution into the Jolteon and the potential memory capsule to shut off those abilities is pretty wild there. So obviously Huang valuing the damage onto that Arceus V more than taking out that potential threat there. So it must have been a very crucial decision. But fortunately for Huang, that Jolteon that Jolteon is in the prize cards. So we are not going to be seeing it, unless there's 2 in deck.
Yeah. We did see the path to the peak, making it a little more annoying for Takuto to use that Arceus V-Star Starbirth. Maybe thinking, okay, it's going to make it a little harder for you to get your setup on the next turn. I do think Takuto has a Pumpkaboo in hand for the Pumpkin Pin, and oh, there is
a second Jolteon?
Jolteon, yeah.
Oh my goodness, here we go. It's getting spicy. So Huang didn't use any Drizzile evolutions in that second turn.
Yeah,
so,
there was an opportunity to do something like Irida for the Drizzile, just get a couple in play, thin them out of your deck, and then on the last one, grab an Evolution Incense for the V-Star. But no, decided to just go straight for the V-Star and leave those options open. But
here we go.
Now, Takuto's going to be
a memory capsule.
Yeah, and we have Starbirth guaranteed.
Yes.
With the Pumpkin Pit getting rid of the path to the peak. So this is going to be a devastating turn.
And we have seen Memory Capsule in deck, I believe, as well. The Professor's Research discarded that Luminion V, sort of
first card they grabbed.
Yeah, of course, of course. You don't actually have to show the cards either that you're grabbing off of that Arceus V-Star ability. So it is a secret, but we know that's going to come down real quick, Kyle, that Memory Capsule to shut that down, which is going to be absolutely devastating, I think, for Huang. I didn't get to see what was in the hand for Huang, but I suppose...
It almost doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, not using any sort of evolutions there must be something there.
2 Flying Pikachu V, the Memory Capsule on the Jolteon, now Thunderous Awakening in effect, just to pass to the peak to rub it in.
I was about to say just some more disruption there. Path to the peak as well.
We also saw Huang did discard a Tool Jammer. You know, there's a debate, do you play Tool Jammer, Tool Scrapper? So obviously choosing to go with that one, which is much worse against Jolteon. Tool Scrapper is another out to discard the Memory Capsule, but not going to have access to that, I'd imagine. And yeah, this is...
Wow, I was about to say, Kyle, this board state is gnarly right now. This is really difficult to be looking at. But we do see at least the knockout there. I mean, that's really all that happened on this turn, Kyle. It switched right over to Huang, take the knockout.
I would guess a very temporary advantage.
Yes, that is very true. And then back to Takuto here. So still many attackers on that. Well, 2 Flying Pikachu Vs out on the board right now. A handful of cards. And then, of course, that Jolteon also locking down. And then another Eevee coming down.
Yep.
No way there's a third Jolteon, right, Kyle? No way. Takuto's list right now, I'm like, how do you fit this many cards in a list?
No
because
kidding,
this is teched out to the max.
Well, there is the Flying Pikachu VMAX off of that Professor's Research. Exactly what Takuto is looking for. We're going to see the max balloon, and this is just a horrendous situation to be in as the Palkia player. And you could see Takuto has appropriately come prepared at the World Championships for this matchup. The Jolteon to shut down all water Pokemon's abilities, which, by the way, every Pokemon in Huang's deck is a water Pokemon, so no more abilities.
At all.
Hitting for the lightning weakness, this is just a complete destruction.
Oof, and you know, as we talked about, Kyle, the Flying Pikachu did win NAIC. This is a very different iteration of the deck, but a lot of people didn't really pay much attention to Flying Pikachu after that. It was always on the radar, of course, but seeing this version of the deck and how it's playing out here is just absolutely wild to witness.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. There's not even like a Bibero line for extra draw. It's just Professor's Research. You know, you use that first Starburst to get up and running, and then, you know, use the old-fashioned supporter cards to go from there. At this point, I just have no idea what Huang can do to get back into this game. No access to abilities. We saw 2 Drizzile just get played down to evolve. Can't even use their abilities. Can't use Radiant Greninja's concealed cards. There's not even a Palkia in play. Just had to put it down this turn. I mean, you're just looking up at that big Flying Pikachu VMAX, and it's going to use Max Balloon over and over.
Looking grim.
Yep. It is just hovering over
it's
you.
It's actually looking quite happy, though. That is a very cute card, that Flying Pikachu VMAX. But unfortunately, it is not a happy face you're wanting to look down when you are a Palkia player. So, you know, at this point, when you're 2-0, and you're like, well, I'm getting paired with my hard counter, You do what you can, but I suppose, there's some sort of expectation that you come into a match with, but still seeing Huang play it out to the best of the ability. Do you think it would be slightly different here, Kyle, if that Eevee was targeted? I mean, there is another Eevee here, so that Jolteon was coming online at some point for Takuto in this matchup.
Yeah, it's a good question. On some level, it might just be delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
I can definitely see
another memory capsule, too.
Oh, nice. I can see just trying to attack into the Arceus and race the prize cards and hope your opponent just doesn't draw into the right things. But yeah, this is just the tricky part of playing against this deck, right? There's just too many things. There's the Pikachu to deal with. There's the Jolteon to deal with. You can't attack all of them, and you got to make decisions at some point. There's even the Arceus to deal with. That does a decent chunk of damage as well.
Yep, we are still over here. Takuto just absolutely lining up this board. There's no way I'm winning this matchup, I'm sure is what Takuto is saying. Or sorry, losing this matchup, I should say.
Yeah, we even see the insurance double turbo attachment to the Pumpkaboo. Like, nope, you're not going to stall me with the boss's orders.
Just thinking out every single play that could potentially happen. And when you have the luxury to do so, because you are so eloquently set up with your deck, you might as well, I'm going to give myself the absolute best board state that I can to finish this game out. No hesitations here. And this is what you see at the, max play, these super skilled players just going through the actions of what they know every optimal turn is. We did see that subspace swell from Huang there, but
not enough.
Yeah, it's just not enough to take down that giant air balloon of a flying Pikachu VMAX.
Yeah, if you're watching at home and you're wondering, what can I do to beat all these Palkia decks? Well, here you have it. Just commit half your deck to beating it, and here we go. And yeah, just a fist bump, and that's it.
There we go.
Takuto with a very convincing 2-0.
Wow.
I mean, complete dismantling of this Palkia deck.
That absolutely was. I mean, like I said, every single turn seemed like the optimal position to be in for Takuto, just going through all of the actions, seeing what can I do in every single circumstance for each of these turns to just put myself in the best situation, even when I'm in a huge lead here, even lining up that secondary Eevee with the memory capsule. Probably, I'm guaranteeing you, knowing that the Jolteon was still in the prize cards. Of course, you could grab it off the prize cards, and then there's just another Jolteon there as well, but just, oof, that was rough to see. And you know what was interesting about that matchup too, Kyle, that we kind of talked about? You said there's no Bibarel engine in this deck, which is what we saw. And what we mostly see with flying Pikachu VMAX decks is that Bibarel for the support, but having just